This is Jason Newton, welcoming you to a introduction to the Old Connecticut Path as it travels across the last green valley between Sutton, Massachusetts and Tolland, Connecticut. The most dramatic place to experience the wilderness of the Old Connecticut Path and see the artifacts of the travel along the trail and settlement may be found between Sutton, Massachusetts and Tolland, Connecticut in the last green valley. As your introduction to this marvelous stretch of the Old Connecticut Path as it travels through the wilderness, we'll fly over the trail using Google Earth. The blue dots that you see represent GPS points from my walks along the trail to establish the route, while the earliest travelers along the Old Connecticut Path would have needed about 4 days to cover this section of the last green valley from Sutton to Tolland. Our flight will take about 4 minutes. We begin at Manchog Pond below Waters Farm in West Sutton and ascend the hill to the Douglas Woods, where we'll follow the old stage road across the forest for about 3 miles to reach Webster Lake. Deep within the Douglas Woods, we cross stone bridges, pass beaver dams, and walk on stepping stones laid to make the path a better way for travel. The path descends along Mine Brook, leading to the Killdeer Peninsula and Webster Lake. The Killdeer Peninsula leads to the Narrows, which was a fording place crossed along the Old Connecticut Path. Remnants of the path have been lost in the development of Webster, Mass. But as we fly over, we approach the French River and follow New Boston Road to the Connecticut line. The path crosses the old railroad grade to follow Shumway Brook to the Quinnebog River, passing below Cordis Hill and Buck Mountain. Flying over Thompson, Connecticut, we approach the Quinnebog River. Directly below is the meadow where the fording place of the path crosses the river, leading uphill to the Thompson Woods. A 3-mile walk on old roads through the Thompson Woods and around Chandler Hill leads to the Senexit Meadow and Woodstock, Connecticut. The path approaches Woodstock up Child Hill Road, and then at the junction follows Hall Road to Pulpit Rock and across the westward hill, reaching the Beaver Meadow where the oldest highway in America is found. Leaving the ancient trail behind, the path follows Rocky Hill Road across the uplands of Woodstock. Hopkins Hill, the path crosses the meadow following the contour of the land and an old roadway buried within the woods to reach Bungee Brook. Leaving the Child Tavern site and Overdene Hill, we cross the Still River and ascend uphill to Crystal Pond. In Eastford, the path crosses conservation land and orchards to reach Buell Drive, where it descends into Branch Brook, passing below a beaver dam. Posey Road, the path enters Yale Forest, passing between beaver dams and walking over Bigelow Brook on stepping stones to arrive at Axe Factory Road. In Ashford, we pass over Natchod State Forest and pass below Grass Hill to arrive at the Great Wall of Westford and the stepping stones of the Mount Hope River. Passing over meadows and between beaver ponds and across brooks on the ancient road, the path heads west towards Moose Meadow. In Willington, the path reaches Moose Meadow and the Fenton River and then ascends along the old road following Curtis Brook to reach Cosgrove Road and crossing below Whifford Hill. Crossing the highway, the path follows a deeply worn ancient road. Trask Road and a woodland pathway lead to Route 32 in West Willington. The path fords the Willimantic River in Nye Holman State Forest in Tolland, Connecticut, where the old path meets with the modern ways west to Hartford. We reach the end of our 4-minute flight over the last green valley from Sutton to Tolland. We look back on the route that we followed. Reverend Thomas Hooker and his congregation along with other parties traveling westward from the Mass Bay along the Old Connecticut Path, would have required 4 days at least to travel this same route. The path they followed has faded in memory. You are invited to join me in rediscovering the Old Connecticut Path as it travels across the last Green Valley. Come along with me by video and by slides and animations to see the Old Connecticut Path at the ground level. Get out to walk and experience the wilderness as it may have been seen by those who traveled along the old path, and help to preserve this important part of our national heritage. Visit the Old Connecticut Path website for more information.